I have been a Battlefield fan for many years, and I've played pretty much every game in the franchise. And for me, the Battlefield games have always been the go-to shooter for massive scale warfare and destruction. And many other people do share the same opinion. This happens when in nearly every new game in the Battlefield franchise, DICE pushes the limits to give the players the best experience. It doesn't mean that they always succeed or that their most recent game is a success, but it does prove to show that they have the ambition and courage to take upon the challenging task of developing another Battlefield title. Battlefield 6 is about to be revealed next month in June, so it's going to be exciting to see what the community will think of it when we actually get a trailer. I'm sure it's going to be mind-blowing, but very exciting. But the future of the franchise depends heavily on the success of Battlefield 6, and DICE and EA have gone all in to make their next major title the best Battlefield game you have ever played. My name is MrDinko from Uplink, and today let's take a look at the scope of Battlefield 6 based on the information we have gotten so far. Welcome
to Uplink.
The reveal trailer hasn't been released yet to the public, but the different private screenings from the studio or home studio with a few of the lead team members developing Battlefield 6, we have heard that the reaction from the trailer has been a great success. And let's be honest here, it's not like they would have announced that they just watched a bad trailer of their upcoming game. So it's to be expected to hear something like that from, the reaction comments. But despite the reactions, it seems to us that we are in for a big trailer experience where we are met with our expectations of what most fans want to see from a Battlefield title. Epic music, large-scale warfare, action-packed dramatic scenes, and a showcase of all the new weapons and vehicles in the game. If you look back at the trailer history, trailers that include this, they are the ones that succeed. During an investor's call in February, it was noted that the game will take advantage of the latest generation consoles in order to push the game to the next level. This is great news, knowing that the game has been made with the latest consoles in mind, so we aren't held back by the older generation. But of course, to the people who still play on the last generation and or haven't gotten the chance to get one of the latest consoles due to shortage of supply, don't you worry, for the game will be playable on the older consoles as well. Destruction, render scale, overall quality, player count will all be reduced for the older consoles given the limitation of the hardware. This is to be expected and we can't really ask much more than what the hardware can deliver. But recently, they did assure us that you will have a great time with the new game changes of Battlefield 6, no matter what platform you play on. We haven't heard much talk about PC, but it's to be expected that this platform is what you need to choose if you want the absolute best experience, at least in terms of overall graphical quality. It was speculated that DICE would only stick with the latest consoles and PC. But now, we know that the game will also come to the older consoles, which shows that DICE wants this game to as many hands as possible, even with the great risk of having a demanding game on an older generation, which, if it fails, can put the game in a poor state due to bugs, crashes, poor implementations, and so forth, which leads to horrible reviews and lack of community appreciation. I'm looking at you, Cyberpunk. I'm interested to see how much DICE are able to put into the older consoles, but we can be sure that they are working hard in order to bring the best experience for all of you, no matter what platform you play on. In previous Battlefield titles, we have been given multiplayer sessions with up to 64 players, and for years, this is what has been normal for the franchise. People have been quite happy with this player number, but given that a lot of other shooter game competitors are now reaching up to a player number of 128 or even 150 players in some cases, the expectation for DICE to live up to their massive scale warfare model aligns heavily on them having something like 128 players running around on a map at the same time, together with the squad, with the team, with your brothers. Luckily for us, Battlefield 6 promises unprecedented scale, with elevated destruction, more player choices, and more excellent combat for both vehicle and foot soldiers, according to the most recent investor call a few days ago. And if we are to experience unprecedented scale, which are some big words, considering we will need to fill these maps with a lot of soldiers, like 128 players. And DICE are quite aware of this, and it can be safe to say that the days of 64 player in Battlefield will be no more. I'm sure there will be modes with 64 player limitation, given that this is sometimes required for balancing reasons. But For the larger maps of unprecedented scale, we will see 64 players on each side of the team instead. I'm very excited to see how the player numbers unfold when we get the chance to play the game and how they're going to balance it all out. But one thing is for certain, Battlefield 6 is moving up big time with the scale of the map and the intensity of warfare. There haven't been much information on gunplay changes and how vehicles will work, but it's safe to assume that given the height of development and direction they are going for with the next title, we can look forward to see some great improvements. And if we are correct with our assumptions and the community speculations, the game will have a modern day setting. This opens up room for a lot of player customization on how their soldier will look, their vehicles, and their weapons, which is something a lot of players have missed since the day of Battlefield 4, and perhaps we will have a faster time to kill, also known as TTK in the communities, for a more aggressive experience. Or will they try to balance it out again to the average player like they did with Battlefield 5 constantly? At this point we can only speculate, but one thing is for certain, you will see and feel a difference in gameplay, but if it will be good or bad, well, we will have to wait and see and test it out for ourselves. DICE and the many other teams working on Battlefield 6 wants to push the game out there and have it breathing with life for many years, with a growing community following right behind it. And to do this, they must hit the nail perfectly, for many people in the community are giving DICE the last chance with Battlefield 6 to prove themselves, given the heated disappointment of the previous game. They have been cautious with the next title, but also promising considerable changes to the game, while keeping the core Battlefield heart and feeling. It is to be the most significant Battlefield experience that we players have ever had the chance to play, with a profoundly engaging live service model that will complement the expectations of this game with its massive maps and extreme warfare both on ground and in sky. Very big words there, but they do sell well. With the live service model they have envisioned, we can look forward to see a lot more content to be added to the game more frequently than previous titles. This is a big challenge for DICE given the increased map sizes, the expanded features they have added, and promises they have made. For there will be a lot of expectations from the community, and there already is. One of the more interesting parts here is that DICE are considering Battlefield 6 as a relaunch of the franchise. That's how far they want to make this game stand out, which is quite impressive. And we haven't heard any mention of a single player experience yet, and usually we would have heard something about it by now, so there is a chance of them dropping the single player entirely in order to focus all their efforts into Battlefield 6 multiplayer, which would make a lot of sense given that the majority of people play Battlefield for the multiplayer only. DICE are stepping up to make the next Battlefield title the best game for any player who is joining or returning to the franchise. So they need to keep their focus in order to live up to the expectations by the community and, even more importantly, their own words. I'm interested to know how you see the future of the franchise or Battlefield 6. Do you trust that DICE and EA will be able to deliver a solid Battlefield experience that can last for years with the live service model they will use? Or do you think they will fail and this is the end of the franchise as we know it? If you have any thoughts regarding Battlefield, let us know in the comment section below. We would love to hear what you have to say. Also, know that you can join our Discord server to chat there with our amazing community, who has a lot of great opinions and experiences with the Battlefield franchise. And if you like Star Wars, it's also a great place to be, for we have a lot of members, and I mean a lot, who love the Star Wars universe. Considering supporting us on Patreon for exclusive benefits like a special podcast episode every week, and also hitting that subscribe and like button for more Battlefield content. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the battlefield.